This is going to be a bunch of tricks on the Pyramorphix advanced method in order from easiest to advanced to help you get faster. Trick number 1, twisting tips. This is good if it's a 2-mover and you don't necessarily see anything. This is pretty easy to recognize and do if there's no 1-mover. For example, these 2 tips here, they need to be twisted. If this one was twisted, it would make a pair. You can do this by doing moves like this to twist it in place. If you want to twist it the other way, you could do that. If you want to twist it on this side, you could do this to make it right, or for the other way, you could do that. So again, twist this tip to put it in place like that. Next tip. This is how you move tips. This is similar to the last tip trick because if you're doing this, you don't have a good 1-mover that you have to do. For example, these 2 right here, they're already oriented. This just needs to be moved to here. You can always do this by doing similar to what we did last time. If I want to move this one down to this spot, same thing, just from different orientation. Next trick. I do not recommend doing this one very often because it is a 3 moves the first 2. Pretend we didn't have this one down here or anything, and we were going to make it with these 2 because you don't see anything else, you're running out of inspection. This is always a very easy case to recognize because you have green and blue right here. The way you want to do this is just move up, do a U prime, move it down, and that'll pair those 2 up. This could also be used if you were somehow able to plan out something like this that would make first 3, but you could probably plan that one in a different way too. Next trick. If you finish your first 2 like this, and you have one in the middle, well, usually that would get taken out with an insertion, but you go back here and see that you actually have the 1-move insert case. Don't do this move yet, you can just move it to the back to cancel into this anti-sledge. Pretty easy trick, you might have already known. Next trick. Say you have a fully complete boat case like this, there's no canceling into it. Before you move this out like this, you might want to start, or even as you do it, or before you do it, inspect what your sledge is going to be, because if I see this, yellow's on bottom, yellow's on top here, I'm going to have to do triple sledge. This is obviously the worst boat case you could get, so before moving this back, you could actually do a Z prime, not Z prime, sorry, just Z, like this, to rotate, and then do your move, and you'll always just have sledge then. You won't have to re-inspect, you just have to do a Q rotation, and you get a much better case, saving 8 moves. Next trick. This is how you can skip a boat case without ever having to deal with it. If you see 2 tips across from each other, like this, that means that when you do your normal insertion like that, you'll get a boat case. Remember, this does not happen if you don't have to do an insertion, it's just a 1 move, like if that would make my first 3, but if they're across from each other and you have to do an insertion, you should, this will make a boat, so what you want to do is do the double insertion instead, where you bring it over there and do double moves. Again, that looks like you put it over here and you do a double move like that. Note is that that also preserves this. So oftentimes if I see a pair like this, I'll do a double insertion anyway to make a full first layer and increase my chance of a CP skip. But you don't want to do that if you have something like this, because when you do double insertion, this would create a boat case. This would be good here, but if you're going to do double insertion in this case, it would give you boat. So that's how you skip boat cases, and this is a trick that I could use a lot in my solves. Next trick. This is a great way to do your all your tips if you see a case like this. It's pretty easy to recognize, and it seems like it can be done very well because of how it's lined up. This you're going to want to lift up on the side that has the bottom color of here, or the face color. I'll get to that later. But look for the bottom color on this tip. If that's over here, we lift up that side, do a double moving back, and bring it back down. And that will finish all your tips. You can also, a lot of time in inspection, I'll set up to this, where if I see something like this pair doesn't actually exactly match, you can see that doing a double move will make it into that case, and you can bring it down. Left-handed, that could look like this. Make your second pair appear, and then do that. Now you can also do this over here, where if you don't have your bottom color on this, you just have your face color, then you can still do the same thing, you just have to do a B2 at the end to fix it. If you have that other case I showed you where this, you have your face color on this tip, that means you'll have to do a B2 at the end. So there's a better way you can do this. You want to put your other tip on top of that tip, and you want to move up from the side that doesn't have that color. So face color's on the left, I move up on the right, and then I go back towards the side wherever that tip was and bring back down. So if it's like this on this side, and that will finish them. You could also have that on the other side like this, where you can see there's gonna be a B2 at the end because of this front color here. So you put it on top, lift it up from the other side, and you can fix all your tips just like that. Next trick. These are called rocket cube shapes. If you have this from inspection, you can see there's already a pyramid here, but both of these would be really annoying to do. Here's how you're going to do this. You're going to treat both of them like they're the last tip. So over here, see the bottom color is red, so I'm going to do red over here with my anti-sledge to put on top. I'm going to rotate over here, green, green, so I do my sledge to put on top, and you can do your B2 to fix it. Treat them both like your last tip, and then you'll either have to do a B2 or all tips will either be solved right after that. And that's a great way you can do that case. Next trick. This is similar to the last one where you have this rocket case, except here you have two pairs like this. This is kind of rare, but it's a really great case to get. Because if you're going to do my last trick, you have to do a triple sledge here, a triple sledge here to get them both on top, which would be 6 sledges and a B2. Actually, I'm not sure if that would be a B2, but just to fix these. There's a much better way you can do this. You want to hold it. This is usually from inspection, so it's not that bad. So that the color over here is the color over here. So if I was to hold it like this, that'd be wrong, because this color is right here. This is right, though, because color over here is color over here. Then you want to do U2, DR2, R2, and then you can fix it with that DR. And that will solve all the tips right away. So, if you have this case, hold it right, and you go. And they'll all be fixed. Next trick. You need to be able to know how to plan your CP out from when you're doing your last tip, like this. It's especially good if your last tip is on top, or if it's even up right here, because you have lots of time to think about it. Here, I see these are all solved, and that my red, it's on top, so I'm going to go in my triple sledge. Now, as I'm doing this, I remember that these two are both solved. Whenever you do an odd number of sledges, that will swap them. So as I'm doing this, I'm doing an odd number of sledges because I'm doing 3. Hint, you're always doing an odd number of sledges if it's on the side. You're always doing an even number of sledges if it's on top. So because it was on the side, they're going to be swapped, and I should have a 2-2 swap. As I finish this, I'll already know I have a 2-2 swap in the back like that. I don't even need to look at it. And I can go right into that, which can save you some time inspecting your CP. So, similarly, you have this, where you see they're both swapped. You go into your triple sledge. Because it's on the side, they are going to be swapped. They were already swapped, which means it's going to be solved when you finish. So you can finish without even looking. Stop the timer, and they should be solved back there. I'm going to show you how to do that when they're on the top. If you add something like this, whenever they're on top, you're not swapping any of these. It's going to stay the same. So my CP that I have here will be exactly the same as when I finish rotating this. So I see these real quick. As I'm doing this, I think they were swapped. That was on top. They're going to stay like that. It's going to be a double, 2 swapping back. So then I can just continue into that out. And sure enough, the cube is solved. So just know, when your last tip is on front, you are swapping these two. And when your last tip is on top, these two are not being swapped. So you can always plan out what your CP is going to do, especially if it's an easy case like solved or a 2-2 swap. And this will get better as you practice. That's it for the tips I'm going to show you now. Hopefully those help. I'm also going to have some walkthrough solves that involve a lot of those. Thanks for watching.